So today we're actually going to change our format a little bit. So Bruce is actually going to give us a presentation, which will give us an overview on kind of some updates on NKN. And then we'll kind of go, I'll talk a little bit more about business development. Elon will talk a little bit more about the product side and the R&D work. And then we're actually going to open it up to questions after that. So I think that'll give you kind of a good amount of information up front and allow you to ask a lot of questions. Also, remember, we take questions from many different channels. So we take questions from, if you're on Zoom, we'll take it from the Q&A section, which is in the bottom of your screen there. We'll also take questions off of YouTube. So I'll be monitoring that, as well as our forum. And so, in fact, we've already got quite a few questions on our forum that we'll probably start with. And then we'll mix in some of the other live ones that we get during the session. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Bruce Lee.
I'll wait for a minute. So I need to send a few messages out to different channels. So I need a minute. So I think maybe
Okay.
Yanbo or Elon, you can say something to the community, and if you want, please.
Yeah, let's start. We have been a long time to communication with our team member, and I think in the past 3 or 4 months, the world changed a lot. But for NKN also changed a lot. We have solid products and lots of development and also business progress. But I think the only thing won't be changed is that we still believe we are creating a fast, free, and secure network. So these things always in our heart, and I always insist on these things.
Okay, so thank you, Yanbo. I think even though Yanbo does not kind of make lots of noises, but he's working very hard every day. So I think some of the community members was asking, where's Yanbo? So now today you can see him. So
yeah, I'm always be here. It's 12 a.m. here. There I am.
Okay,
that's dedication.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to move into presentation mode. So Alan, can you see the screen?
Yes. Yep, it's up.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay, so hi, welcome everybody. So if you don't know me, I'm Bruce, and I'm the co-founder at NKN. So we have done video AMA maybe every 1 or 2 months, every 1 or 2 months. So this time I think we'll do a slightly different. So we won't start with AMA. We'll start with a very short presentation, and especially covering the project progress and news since we last kind of talked. And so that gives people like a more consistent and more comprehensive information about the progress of the project. So it's more like a regular updates, because I know even though we publish lots of articles and sometimes videos, it's difficult to capture everything. So that will be our opportunity to really capture the main development in the last 2 months or so. And that's like Yanbo said, not only the NKN project made lots of progress, but the outside environment changed quite a lot as well. So, so I think it's really great to have this regular update to our community. So what have changed? So I think we have been gone through this very long crypto winter, like what we have seen, this very famous meme of this crypto winter for, I think, since late 2018. So it's a year and a half at least. And the recent events, I think everybody have seen the kind of gets very crazy as well. And but I think overall, I think the crypto currency or the blockchain space is kind of back to more like a summertime. And I think there's more enthusiasm, both in terms of the external investors coming to the space, not only embracing Bitcoin, but also embracing a wider variety of crypto assets, but also within the crypto community. And there's lots of innovation as well. Some of them you can say a little bit hype, like a DeFi, but still, I think as overall, it's kind of a healthy growth. So if you look at the market cap today, it's about 350. So we are back to about May 2018 level where we started, or when we started listed on the exchanges. So I think we are getting back. I wouldn't say overall it's in the hype, but I think small segment within it might be a little bit hype, but overall, I think it's getting back to healthy level. And you can also see some of the projects who have been persisted, like survive the winter or keep on building and keep on working on the hard issues and the useful issues, now start to come out of the winter and get the appreciation from the market. So I think that's kind of a good sign that this whole industry is maturing in a sense. They kind of separate the good and bad and the useful and unuseful and start to really appreciate some of the more useful ones. Right? So that's kind of the crypto summer. We hope we'll continue and make it even hotter. So I think some of you have actually maybe know NKN for a long time, and some of you might be very new to NKN. So that's the reason today we also want to re-stress some of the kind of key ideas behind NKN. So from very beginning, NKNs want to be a decentralized network as a service, right? So if you look at the internet infrastructure, you have three major pillars. You have the storage, compute, and networking. So there are lots of projects working on storage, like for example, the Filecoin IPFS is going to be mainnet launched very soon, and we work with them as well. Then in the computer side, some of our friends like in Anchor or Ethereum, they are working very well, and they support DeFi and other things. And then on the right-hand side, the networking domain, I think that's actually a large industry. There was not so many companies working this project in this space. When we look back in 2018, there may be like a handful, maybe less than 10, 6 to 10 projects working in the networking domain. But then over the winter, many of them kind of either just wither away, or they pivot, or they change to different directions. So I can clearly see that we aim to be the #1 in this space, and we are clearly becoming the #1 in this space. So I think the networking space, this vertical is clearly what we are very good at it, and we want to capitalize on that kind of specialization. And overall, when you look at all these three pillars be decentralized, we talk a lot about Web 3.0. So if you think of Web 3.0, so we are one of the three pillars of Web 3.0. So that put us in a really good position going forward to capture the wave of the Web 3.0. And NKN 1.0, we have been building for the last 2 years. So the idea is to building the largest shared network. But I think the building part, we can actually cross out. We are the largest shared network by any means, right? So if you look at the consensus nodes, about 2 days ago, we reached over 30,000 full consensus nodes. And if you and they are very widely distributed in Europe, North America, and even remote areas in South Africa, and a lot of them in China and Southeast Asia. So look at the Bitcoin, you have 10,000 nodes, full consensus nodes. Ethereum is about 9,000. So we are actually bigger than them combined, if you just look at the consensus nodes, right? So we set out to build this largest consensus network, and we innovate on this consensus algorithm called Mocha. And in the beginning, nobody knows it will work or not, but after this 3 years, almost 2.5 years of building, plus more than 1 year of mainnet, it clearly shows it's working properly, and it can scale really, really massively beyond what we're ever seeing today. So 30,000 just starting point. And as Elon quite famous said in one of the interviews with GG Mesh, that actually today's NKN code without any modification, we have no doubt it will scale up to 1 billion or even more nodes. So that has put us in a very good position to capture this fully connected network, and where there are more than hundreds and thousands of millions of nodes or connectivity in the world. So then once we finished, well, 1.0 is kind of, we finished building the infrastructure, building the technology. So 2.0 is really about commercialization and productization, and really capture the most useful use cases for our particular the networking stack, as well as our particular blockchain. So if you look at how the NKN network build up, so from ground up, let's start from bottom. So we just talked about the 30,000 consensus nodes. So this is not only the consensus part, but also it's a peer-to-peer and fully meshed relay network, right? So this is the NKN network. And then on top of that, we have two platform services. One is the new kind of CDN or content delivery, and the other one is data ride, which is kind of ride share for the data, so which enable peer-to-peer connectivity and data transmission and streaming. And on top of that, we have lots of products, and some of them we develop ourselves, some of them developed by community. So if we look at it, so N-Mobile is iOS and Android mobile app for chat and also for our wallet. So this is developed by the NKN. The DChat, which is a browser plugin. So they're interworking with each other. They are providing the decentralized, ultra secure, trusted serverless chat, and one on different platforms, right? One on the browser, the other one on the mobile device. And we have a very exciting new product coming up by the community called Surge, which is, you will say, it's like BitTorrent on steroid. So it's 100% private and also utilize NKN's massive network for this file sharing. So this is coming, I believe Chris said from Rule 110 community project, maybe 2 to 3 weeks when they finish the bug fixing, and they will start to release to the community for testing. And proxy, which can have accelerate the web experience. And we have N-Shell, which can remotely control servers and IoT devices. And we have the new kind of FTP, so enable direct file transfer between any devices. So one of the use cases we'll touch upon very quickly is how to access your home network and home devices remotely. So NKN 2.0 is really about products and also how to enable these products in the real world use cases. So either it's for the consumers, so N-Mobile, Surge, DChat, they are consumer focused, and some of the products are very much enterprise focused, like NFTP, NCDN, etc. So I think we have a quite healthy kind of portfolio, and some of them we can get real revenue. So that come to the next slide. So the business side. So I'll talk about N-Mobile in a minute. So one segment we're really targeting is enterprise customers, right? So we all know, you probably heard about the big news from CoinDesk about iQIYI's the commercial contract with NCDN, with NKN. So we are actually growing the traffic quite rapidly. So iQIYI is one of the largest video platform in China, and I think they are so far mostly in China, but we're also testing some capability overseas as well. And we also have very similar kind of customer in a similar category or caliber as iQIYI. We're doing commercial trials, try to also a video platform. That platform, so we are trying to run both services on the same NKN node, and to see how the performance are. And the idea is to really maximize the utilization of the bandwidth a user have, the miner has, and also maximize their income as well. So you don't get double, but at least you will be more than 1 times the revenue. We announced the deal with China Mobile and to utilize their edge computing resource, which is reported by a GSM Association. We are also working with a third content provider or CDN provider for video streaming, and that's coming a little bit later as well. So it depends on our resources. So that's on the CDN side. And if we look at the data right side, so we talked about this one company. We have been deploying already 35,000 devices, and also NKN client is embedded in all their mobile apps published on the app stores. So that's one. That's a smaller player, but now right now we are in the final negotiation with a top 3 NAS vendor. So we have done the testing, and we have done some proof of concept. So this one will be significant because this is one of the really top 3 vendors. Everybody knows that company in the NAS space, and we are working on a commercial agreement with them. So that's kind of, so all these businesses are kind of enterprise business. But I think for the company to really, we also want to NKN to be more well-known kind of on a household level. So that's the reason we have N-Mobile. So N-Mobile is really a consumer application. So the idea is really a mobile app that is even more secure than Signal or Telegram, right? So it's not only about encryption, but also how you keep the private key only on the local device, how you keep all the information, all the data only on your device, and there's no server whatsoever. No server for data or for the messaging, no server for the images you transfer, no server for your contact list or your account information, right? Some of the messaging services, they claim to be decentralized or secure, but they still keep some servers, like for example, like Skype or Signal, they keep your identity in a centralized database. So we get rid of that as well. So that's the N-Mobile 1.0. So if you haven't tried it, please try it. It's on both available on iOS, on Android, and we are trying to update it quite regularly. For example, maybe every week to every 1 or 2 weeks. So keep it really up to date. And also I want to say that in the forum, there's a post about feedbacks, what kind of features you want and what kind of bugs you have encountered. So please feel free to submit your bug report and feature request. Some of the kind of the high level kind of most requested items, one of them is kind of voice communication. So it seems like everybody wants to have audio communication, like a call or something like that. So this will be high on our agenda. And we also have the file transfer, which we can do, and plus a few others. So we'll cover that when we get to the Q&A session. So I think I use about 10, 15 minutes. So that's a short presentation to kind of brief you on all the things happened in the last 2 months or so since our NKN 2.0 launch. And thank you for continuing to support us and follow us. And we believe the future is bright, especially in the world that more countries try to set up walls or have restrictions or ban things. I think NKNs really enable this a true peer-to-peer communication. So we always want the communication to be borderless and to be unhindered. So that's what we specialize in. And this global macro environment is actually perfect time for NKN to shine because we have the technology, we have the products ready, we have a developer community, and that we can capitalize on this opportunity. And that's the reason why the NKN core team are very bullish about the future of NKN. So that's all from my side. And so maybe Yan-Bo, Yiren, and Alan, if you have something to add or something I missed, please go ahead.
It's just almost in terms about the N-Mobile. So we also have a commercial version is the N-Mobile Pro. So N-Mobile is a purely object to community and its decentralization and the more focus on the security. But N-Mobile Pro is the more focus on the commercial side. So we add lots of commercial requirement in the N-Mobile Pro. It will be released in this month. And lots of miner and also Selenium miner, they can use the N-Mobile Pro to control the machine or communication with the N-Selenium devices to do something. And the mechanism used to communication is based on N-shell. So that's the difference between the N-Mobile and the N-Mobile Pro. So if some people have such a requirement to want to be a miner or N-Selenium miner, they could be downloading the N-Mobile Pro. So it's integration with the chat and also some other function in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so actually, N-Mobile Pro is already used in China by the iQIYI miners. So we are going to release a more kind of public version that everybody can use. And so in addition to the CDN miner, but you can also use it for normal NKN mining as well. So you can remotely monitor and control your mining nodes. So Yiren, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add a little bit about N-Mobile Pro, but you have said most of it. Yeah, I would say, yeah, you can try that out pretty soon. In this month, we will release. Actually, we have been beta testing it with the iQIYI miner. So if you're for people providing services and bandwidth for iQIYI, this is the only way to manage their nodes. And it's yeah, it has been working good so far.
I can provide a little bit of update on the BD side if you're finished there. So I just wanted to add, since the announcement of our agreement with Aichi, it's really helped us drive interest from partners and enterprises in using NKN's infrastructure. So, our philosophy has always been to create the solutions that you can replicate with many different customers. And as Bruce was showing there, we've been able to do that with both NCDN and also with DataRide. So you'll see us kind of grow those enterprises and those customers over time. But we also been continuing to work with our existing partners as well. A lot of people ask us about, what we're doing with IoTex or what we're doing with some of the other partners we've talked to. So you probably saw like the joint webinar that we did with the Future Smart Home that we did together with IoTex, and we continue to work with them. But we also hosted a great tech talk just about a month or so ago, which was the power of off-chain, with keynotes from CTOs of companies like Bluezell, IPFS, IoTex, Storj, Theta. These are all, some partners, some friendly companies of ours, as well as NKN. You saw from Yilan, he shared a lot about NKN 2.0 launch. So if you didn't get a chance to see that, I'd highly recommend you go back and take another look at that, which included the launch of NKN Commercial and a lot of other things that we've been talking about, over the past few months here. And then one other thing about N-Mobile, I know we're beating this up, but with N-Mobile, it's a great use case on top of our platform. In fact, some of the other things that we're working on in terms of the DChat application, and even some of the other instances with the connected devices and things like that, actually use that infrastructure. So to get feedback on that in terms of like our community, let us know kind of what the features and capabilities you want in terms of N-Mobile that can really help us, improve the platform and also the applications themselves, because I think it'll help us grow those businesses as well. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Bruce.
Yeah, I think Alan, we are done with the kind of structured presentation part. So unless Elon, you have additional things about tech side you want to update, or we can move on to the questions.
So okay, I think I can add something because there are a lot of work that I will probably skip the parts that you have already seen, like the things we have, like the work on mobile, NKN Commercial, NKN 2.0, because you have already seen it in somewhere else. But I will probably talk just a little bit about some of the work that we have been doing, but you have not seen. So for example, on the mainnet side, we have been working on finding the decentralized solution to replace the current SSL certificate, because as some of you may have already observed, the SSL certificate on NKN nodes was like revoked sometime earlier, and we have to find a new decentralized way. Well, to be honest, I hate SSL, but for browser compatibility, we have to do it. So, but we need to do it in a more decentralized way, such that the failure of one certificate does not affect all the other nodes in the network. So that's one thing. So, and another thing is that the N-Mobile Pro, and we just talked about that. And also we have been working on like application that helps you to do, I would say, for remote connectivity. Well, in more plain words, to bypass the net to help you access the machines or your NAS device when you're outside home or not in a local network. And it will be, well, some of you may have already know the NKN tunnel, but it is more like for professional user that can use the terminal and knows the network and know how to use it. But this one will be like a more standalone application that even works on your like phone or your computer is like as a regular software. It probably works in a way similar to a VPN, but it only works for specific IP or specific IP range. And you will probably see it in a couple months, because it has been we just start working on it, but it will be very easy to use and hopefully deployed in many like NAS devices that user can use to connect to their NAS devices and uploading or downloading files when they're not at home. Yeah, so I think that's all I want to add for tech side.
Yeah. So what you're mentioning about this the special technical solution for NAS is with the top 3 NAS vendor. So this one also is universally applicable to other NAS or other home devices. So we hope this solution will actually bring a new line of business for us as well.
Yeah, it'll be a pretty general solution that works on any device, not only NAS, but yeah, NAS would be a quite good starting point.
Yep. Okay,
right,
so if that's the case, yeah, Alan, please be the DJ for the Q&A.
Sure. I'm going to start with the forum posts. We've got quite a few of those here, and I know actually some of the folks that put these in the forum post are also on our attendees list here on Zoom. So let's start with those. So the first one here is from Jason Parser. It says, are there any updates on the partnership with iQIYI? When to expect their first use of NKN network and token? Are there any negotiations with American companies on the use of NKN CDN?
So I can start with the iQIYI in China. So iQIYI in China, actually, we are doing really well because it's not just a contract without activity. It's a contract with real activity. So in the last, I think we started really ramping up in July. So July will be the month we start to get a large amount of traffic. And August, this month, we are like full throttle to ramp up the capacity. So I think between April and the end of August, I think there will be 40 times more traffic, about maybe 30 to 40 times more traffic. So it's a significant growth in the last few months. And I mentioned before in one of the discussions, so large company, the payment normally takes longer, 2 to 3 month payment cycles, but we are starting that cycle. So we are starting to get the revenue come in. So overall, I think this is a business. I think it's very, very healthy. And so we are going to ramp up the capacity. And also because of the experience we had with iQIYI, so we can use very similar system for the second voice video on demand company. And that's what I mentioned that we've been testing to run both video platform software, like a CDN software on the same NKN miner. So the miner can actually get more income for the same bandwidth. Because in CDN, typically it's because of the scheduling and caching. So it's more like if your neighbor is not watching what you kind of cache, then you don't get much traffic, right? So it's more statistically like how much you can utilize your bandwidth. But if you have for example, 2 services, and they typically they don't have exactly the same behavior. So actually it's good that you can maximize your uplink. So you can actually get more money from your the same uplink bandwidth you already have at home. So that's something we're working with a few miners to test out, and also on the commercial side as well. So hopefully we can have another commercial contract, and then I think our miner will be happy as well because of the added income. For internationally, I think, Alan, you can comment on outside of China.
Specifically for CDN, yeah. So we've actually been talking to, or have in the past talked to quite a few content service providers here in the US and also in Europe. Again, it's a different model in the US and Europe than it is in China today. Which requires a little bit different kind of not infrastructure, but it requires a little bit of different take on what we can do in those markets. So right now, we're really trying to focus on what we can do with iQIYI and building up that network, and we'll continue to address those service providers in those other markets as well.
Yeah, and also iQIYI have international requirements as well, right? So I think the pricing still need to be negotiated, and also the solution might be slightly different. And we're also working with another partner who actually can provide us with quite an inexpensive bandwidth internationally. So that will probably come in September time or October time. So we are working on the international market for sure, but it might take a little bit different cycle compared to the Chinese market.
Yeah, and let me elaborate a little bit on that more. So yeah, when I talk about model, in terms of, it also takes a little bit different kind of, I should say, less expensive resources. So we've actually been talking to a lot of hosting services, service providers, and the people that can provide that infrastructure, and to see how we can provide a model that's more profitable for miners that would run those in the U.S. and Europe, specifically for those kind of content delivery services.
Right. So for example, in China, most of the people, they don't run on a cloud server because the cloud server is inherently more expensive, and especially with CDN, the traffic is huge, right? So if you anybody who runs on AWS or Google Cloud, they know that the traffic on those cloud platforms is super expensive. So it won't be profitable to run the CDN as is today. So that's the reason why many people, miners in China, they get like a dedicated line and from the telecom company, so they can pay per month. They don't pay by bits or bytes, which is more profitable or more usable. Internationally, that's kind of more difficult. So that's the reason we have two approaches, right? With the cloud providers, like the DigitalOceans and the Google Cloud and Amazon, we are working directly with those companies, try to negotiate a better rate for our community, not only for NKN project, but also anybody who runs NKN instance, because they have some way to track it by seeing if you're running a particular type of traffic, or if you deploy from one click or fast deploy or etc. Right? So that's one side. The other side is, let's see if we can get to the roots, if we can find some international circuits that's actually very cheap, almost at the cost level. But then you typically need to go to some of the telecom companies like Telefonica or those companies which actually have owned the lines, right? And they might have edge computing services. So that's another way to get to the lower the cost for the NCDN, and also in turn offer that for the community. So that's the two things that Alan and I have been working on, to how can we make it more sustainable internationally.
The next question I have here is from Mutsi, and it's also related to CDN, but I think it goes right to the heart of, I guess there's some hearsay there. So could you expand a little bit on CDN model that is operating in China at the moment? And we kind of talked a little bit about that, but from hearsay, I have gathered that operating such a node is many times more profitable than running a consensus node, while not providing any security or consensus benefits to the NKN blockchain. To me, it feels like a select group of Chinese miners are currently making profits over the backs of Westerners miners, which secure the network for little to no reward. I think maybe we could address that here.
Yeah, I can start with the commercial side, and then Yuan can continue with the more technical, or Yanbo can technical side. So the IT type of CDN and NKN, it's totally separate process, right? So there are two different applications running on the NKN on people's computer. So in China, some people opt to only run the IGE software without running NKN node, and some people run both or the other way. So to run IGE node, actually, they use quite a lot of bandwidth. So anybody, like for example, if I run on DigitalOcean, I don't think I will ever run IGE node, because you think they get lots of, well, they don't get a lot of income. Let's say if you have like a 10 to 15 megabits per second uplink, and if you run at full capacity, you maybe get maybe $5 or $4 per month. So that's not significantly more than running NKN miner, but also they really use your bandwidth, right, a lot. So you cannot run it on DigitalOcean or AWS today, because DigitalOcean it's already generous. They give you 1 terabyte of data free, including the $5 droplet. And above that, it's about $10 per terabyte. So at IGE's traffic level, nobody will be profitable running on DigitalOcean, so period. So I think we have to kind of separate these two. So the IGE miner do not really, they are kind of semi-separate from the NKN mining. They don't really benefit from the NKN mining per se, so they don't utilize the, how to say, they don't compete with the NKN mining overseas or internationally, right? So they don't earn more. So their payout is totally separate from the NKN blockchain, which is have this constant 20-second block. And so that is fair to everybody who run NKN nodes and have none of that kind of reward is going to IQII. So IQII's mining is totally from IQII payment, and also you have a huge amount of bandwidth requirements. So unless you are running a node like at home, or have a dedicated line, yeah, you cannot use cloud server like the NK mining, mostly mining today. So Yanbo and Elon, please add if you want.
Yeah, I want to say something about this question. So it's not unfair for the miner because the incident they doesn't enhancement of the security of the blockchain network. Because I think the CDN miner also benefit for the whole system. It's better for the whole economical model for our system, because we set up the network when people use it, not just because it's security. It's not security. Yes, it's security, but it's security for what? So people want to use it. So CDN miner they can use the network to servers or provide some kinds of service for people. So that means it's useful. And meanwhile, in the economical model, IGE pay the cash for us, and the whale will pay the token for the miner. A part of money so we need to buy the token from marketing, which means that there are cash incoming for the whole NKN economic model. So that means all the people who hold the NKN will benefit from that. But some people said they didn't say the price just read up because it's just a startup. We're just beginning this servers. So it will be step by step, and when more people and more CDN user and the more one like IT use our network, we get lots of more and more cash to buy the token from the market. So it's a way much benefit for the whole system. So that's my point.
Yeah, I also want to add some comment here. So So first I want to say that IQII is not special. It's more like a CDN versus the NCDN system versus the mining system, because the IQII is just part of the NCDN. So if you run the NCDN node outside China, let's say in US or in Europe, it's exactly the same economic model as the IQII's one. So you are not inside the NKN's mainnet network, you're running a node, you're providing service directly to the end user, and we will pay you the amount of the tokens based on the traffic you have used. So it's more like the whole NCDN is using this different network and different models from the mainnet mining because as we know, the CDN must be compatible to the end user's device, not to some of the new new technologies, because we want adoptions. So that's one thing. So it's more like the NCDN is it's having a completely different network and economic model than the mainnet mining, and also I would say, well, indeed, it's additional earning. But if you compute the earning per bandwidth usage, the mining is still a lot higher, has a lot higher earning per bandwidth usage than the mining, than the CDN mining, because the CDN mining has used an insane amount of traffic. It will eat up basically all your upload bandwidth, no matter it's like 10 megabits per second or 100 megabits per second, or even we have seen some miners with 1 gigabit per second, and it's kind of using a crazy amount of traffic. But so the effective earning per bandwidth usage would be may not seem that high, but the total amount of the earning would be quite reasonable. Yeah, that's a comment I want to add.
Yeah, and also one more thing is that for the mining host, they could be running the NKN commercial. So Elon just released the NKN commercial maybe 1 or 2 months ago, and the NKN commercial just integration both NKN mining and also some data write servers in there. So people just focus on the CDN, but they are not paying much more attention about the data write. In fact, we also have a business line about data write, and we have more and more user wonder to use our data write servers. So for the miner, they could be used NKN commercial. That means in one side, they just mining to get the reward. And also in the background, they provide the data write servers for some application. And they can get the extra token from the data write servers. So when our data write business just to get more customers, they can get both reward from them. So that's good news for the NKN miner.
Yeah, so data write will be based on Tuna, and it will also be a third independent system in addition to NKN mainnet and CDN. So these three are running in different networks that are not interfering with each other. And if you're wondering about the profit, the data write probably in the long term will have the highest earning per bandwidth usage. Although it does not have much traffic as NCDN does. That's why we're not putting it so hard on the miner side, but eventually it will. That's why we are pretty excited about pushing the collaboration with one of the top NAS vendors in the world, because once that has been done, it will bring significant amount of traffic to data write and benefit the miners. And also the data write, that one will have it will not require any disk usage, unlike the NCDN part. So it should be quite friendly, I would say more friendly to the nodes in our network, although it has a higher network requirement than NCDN, because like you basically have to open up all the ports above 30K. But since we are a network oriented system, so that requirement is kind of reasonable compared to disk to like the disk requirement for NCDN. Yeah, that's the comment I want to add.
Okay, so Alan, let's move on.
Yeah. So the next question, I'm actually going to take one from our YouTube channel. So it kind of switches gears a little bit. So this one comes from Imran Chaudhry. It says, will NKN be incorporated into systems and devices such as mobile phones or TVs or routers to become NKN nodes? If so, are you in talks with any electronics companies such as Sony, Samsung, etc.?
So one opportunity is really run on the NAS, because the NAS is it's a very powerful machine typically, and they have enough bandwidth and enough storage, and the CPU are pretty powerful. So that's one natural place. And for the router, I think we already done that. And so, for example, there are a few OpenWRT based router can run that. So the hardware business, I think we haven't gone into the hardware business yet for a few reasons, right? So actually, between Yenbo and I, we have actually worked on two very big hardware and software projects. So hardware takes a long time. So we will, and also there's lots of uncertainties when it comes to hardware, and it does not scale as well as a pure software approach. So I think that's the reason why our initial focus is really on the software side. So you can see the NCDN, the data write, and the N mobile, and etc. They are all pure software, right? So that's the reason we will focus on that. Once our software become quite stable and popular, we will find opportunities to partner with hardware vendors. So I don't think we'll build our own hardware. At least that's not in our plan. So we might work with a partner, and if that combination will become a good solution for a particular type of customers, we will do it, but not immediately. So I think we still have a long way to go to really. Because for example, like Elon have done a mobile app before, right? To sell like 10,000 hardware boxes is already a lot, but in the app store, 100,000 downloads or 100,000 install, it's just small. So the scalability is very different, right? So I think that's the reason why we want to initially focus. We are a small company. We cannot kind of shoot every direction, and we don't have enough resource to do that. But we have been thinking about how in the future we might work in maybe like Indiegogo kind of a approach, or like a crowdsourcing mode, like a Kickstarter mode, together with a hardware vendor. If the hardware vendor can take care of most of the activities and we provide the value-added software, if that works, we will try it. And also we welcome our community or some entrepreneurs to do that, because I think if you find a good kind of solution with a hardware vendor, you can do nowadays you do Indiegogo or Kickstarter. So you get the money upfront, right? So you don't have to cough up with the money. So if you are successful and sell the product concept to the audience, to the public, then you can actually get the money upfront before you even start the production of the hardware. So we welcome community to do that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in terms about the cooperation with the hardware, we just as Bruce said, we just target the open WRT. We made some firmware in China to adaptation with some hardware like the N1 and also a lot of cars very popular hardware in the marketing. So we made some firmware, and we also encouraging the communities to migration the software to adaptation with more hardware to be used. So that's the strategy from us to make the firmware or software to be migration to every hardware that support NKN. We don't just want to focus on one hardware or make the hardware by ourselves.
Yeah, and a little bit of another aspect. So for the hardware, there are two ways that we can that NKN can work, right? One is to provide service like mining. Another one is to use the NKN network, use a service provided by the NKN network. And actually, to be honest, personally, I'm more excited about the second one, because we have already seen a large mining community in NKN, but the adoption for like the hardware device is kind of still lacking relatively. So if but the NKN network is perfect to provide some of the connectivity service or like accelerating service for like the hardwares, especially for like, let's say, for accessing the hardwares when you are not in the same local network or something like that. Yeah, so that's exactly what we are pushing right now. And yeah, I think that would be a more exciting things to get done if we manage to do it.
Excellent, excellent. So the next question here comes from Mutsi again. It says, will there be a new roadmap?
Yes, we're working on it. So so now we have the 1.0 done, the 2.0 done. So the 3.0 can be very wide open, right? So we want to narrow down and prioritize. So we have lots of ideas in both in technology development as well as the commercialization. So we are a little bit behind, but we have been working on it for a while now, how to provide the update and roadmap for the future.
Okay. This next one here is from Tom. Tom says, we've spoken about the NKN website and visuals for a long time, and recently it sounded as it's getting higher and higher on the list of to complete. Do you have any time scale for this to be properly targeted?
Again, it's because of our limitation of the resources. So you saw we have been working quite hard on the NMobile and also NMobile Pro for the miners. And so lots of them need the kind of front end and mobile kind of development people. We don't have a large team. So this one has been kind of postponed and postponed. So right now, I think we also have our new marketing colleague, Susie. She will do at least a quick update on the main homepage. And then the second level pages might come a little bit later, update a little bit later, but we'll do a kind of facelift on the main web page pretty soon. So since Susie is not in the panel today, so I don't want to promise on her behalf, but I think you can expect something to a quick facelift on the main homepage pretty soon.
Yeah, and also I want to thank Tom, and I know you are a very good designer. So if you have some good suggestion or some design you can share with us, we will very grateful to cooperation with you to do that. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. So we have another question here. I'm actually it sounds like we've answered some of these, but kind of going down a little bit. So when will we enter into the gaming industry, Tuna, and agreements with gaming industry?
So I can start from the tech side. So I'd say that not sure if you have looked at the Google's like Stadia, but I don't think it's it's hard to define that as success, I think, right? Based on my expectation to Google service. But I think we have been talking about this, but I would say one of the reason that Google can do nothing about it is because it turned out that most people's home internet or the network is just not enough to run a service, and unless the whole infrastructure is kind of gets developed more and evolved more, even Google cannot make even Google cannot make such service having a relatively good user experience. So that's kind of that's why infrastructure is important, because it's kind of a limit. It put a limit on what kind of application that end users can use. So I think if we take the lessons from Google, it's kind of like for the game streaming, it might good for trial or from POC, but in order to push that for like every end user or the most users, even in some of the most I would call it advanced areas where the network has best infrastructure like Silicon Valley, it will still wait for the infrastructure to become more mature. I would say that's the aspect from the technical part, taking the lesson from Google Stadia.
And also from kind of another part is because to do real-time video streaming, you need the miners machine to be quite capable, right? At least with some very beefy graphic cards. So we already find that, I think, like for example, you can get $2 or $2.50 virtual machine online, but to get a virtual machine with GPU, a good GPU, easily costs you a few $100s a month. So that will limit the supply as well. So I don't think lots of our miners will be able to have. I know, Tom, you have some really beefy GPU at home, but I don't think there's lots of Tom out there in our community who can actually come up with a GPU machine for video streaming. So that's the reason we did a proof of concept, like Elon already did it like a long time ago. So it does work, but I think there are two limitations, right? The infrastructure, the last mile to everybody's home. Secondly, the availability of a good GPU mining machine. Those are kind of limit the use case and also the performance.
Right. The next question here, this is from Vahid Shaikh, 1901. Sorry if I mispronounced that. So any plans for listing on Coinbase?
So we have been evaluating all kinds of exchanges for listing. So Coinbase and the Kraken, they are really the two best ones in the US. So we are working with them, but they have a very interesting process, right? We keep on submitting updates to them, but they don't talk about anything. And then one day they may announce that we are evaluating this and that token. So we actually talked to a few other token projects who has been under consideration for Coinbase, for example. So their experience is very similar. So I think at the end of the day, you want to kind of demonstrate your tokens really being widely used, have real use case, and have lots of adoption. And I think that's probably most of the, and also on the other side is you need to have a certain size of the project. They don't want to list a project that's super small. So we need to have some size and also adoption. I think if we keep on doing that and keep on giving them the updates and they need, so one day they might announce something. But I think for us is keep on pushing it and keep on working it. But those are the kind of key things. And then on the other exchange side, we are not in a rush to go into more exchanges. Look at our volume today. I think the exchange we have is pretty decent. And we recently we did the mainnet swap on the Upbit. So Upbit is already trading on mainnet, and we also get onto Uniswap. So kind of to try out the more decentralized exchange and with a different economic model. So those are the experiments. If we find something similar opportunities, either they give us a kind of a fiat on off ramp, or they provide some innovative way for people to trade and access the token, we'll pursue it. But we are not going to increase the quantity of exchange, but we are more increase the quality of exchanges.
Yeah, in terms about the exchange, we cannot talk too much about that. But anyway, I think the Coinbase is a very high priority thing in our plan. So we will keep on working on that. Especially, I think Coinbase should be, at least on Coinbase is very useful or benefit for US people because they can buy very easily through the Coinbase platform.
Great. And then there's just a second part of that question is the NKN tech is awesome, no doubt, but I'm a bit fearful about marketing. We have DChat, but very few people know about this.
Yeah, I think DChat is a community project, so we did help to promote, but not that much. So the N-Mobile is really, it's something I think we have a chance, right? So N-Mobile 1.0 in today's format, I think it's useful, but not like a wow effect. So that's the reason we want to save this marketing push to when we get this wow effect on the product itself. So that's the reason why right now we do some marketing for N-Mobile, and we try to get, there's a few kind of incentive system coming as well to let people, so we want to have maybe like a key influencer or core group of people find the extra security and serverless feature are crucial for them. So from there, and we will improve the product. For example, adding the voice communication, maybe adding some other services other people don't have. For example, a large file direct transfer, and etc. And then once we reach a point, we think people really find it useful, or a specific group of people find it really useful, and then we'll do a larger marketing push. Then we'll go to the next level. So that's kind of, because for most of the consumers, you only have one chance, right? So if you push hard and they tried it and they disappointed, then they will never touch it again, right? So we want to save that bigger push for a slightly later. Let's call N-Mobile 1.5 or N-Mobile 2.0. But for now, we want to have a more moderate marketing, try to find that product market fit first, and try to find a loyal following first.
No, excellent. This next question is actually from our Light My Fire. So this one is, it's kind of long, so I'm going to try to condense it. So it says, in the past few days, most of the population of Belarus has been without internet due to blockades by the state. And so he goes on to talk a little bit about some of the VPN services and some of the blocking that's happening there. And then the question he really had is, wouldn't it be interesting for the team to develop not only towards privacy, but also towards accessibility, perhaps with the help of some additional tools like special layers of proxy, because of the potential for using such applications is really great. And most importantly, such applications are in demand in crucial situations. Any comments on that?
Yeah, I think on Discord, there are a few developers who are experimenting with NKN tunneling and tuna services. So I think maybe they will figure out something that can work in that situation. For our team, we are a little bit full, very full on our plate. We have the N-Mobile, we have the CDN service, and we have the NAS device. So we might not be able to have the bandwidth to do that by ourselves, but we welcome the community to work on it. I think from technology point of view, it should be quite straightforward.
Cool. In the time remaining, we're getting close to the end here. I'm going to take a few short questions left on our YouTube channel. So on YouTube, we have Theta has a deal with Samsung to deliver their CDN through their smart TVs. Is NKN following a similar route?
I'm not sure if it's a CDN solution on the Samsung TV. I think from what I understand is Samsung TV will actually host the Theta TV app, so which gets you from the TV directly, you can access the Theta channels. So I think Theta is focusing on the live streaming. So I think that's kind of additional distribution channel for them. So in terms of working with device vendors, so the NAS vendor is one of the one we are working on, and we go from there.
Yep. And here's one from G Skin. It says, sorry if this question has already been asked. Are there any plans for storing NKN on a hardware wallet?
Yeah, I think it's in our plans. But of course, we have lots of other plans as well. So, because for example, with the exchange integration and etc. So, for hardware wallet support, I think there are two things, right? So, I think some users really value the hardware wallet in terms of extra security. So, I personally use one, so I can appreciate that. The second thing is the hardware wallet suppliers like Trezor and also Ledger. So because they have so much requests to support different tokens, so typically it's a long process to work with them. So we started the process, but I don't think it will happen overnight, because it's not only because we are slow, but they have so much requests and they have a small team. So typically it takes a while to get integrated, but it's on our plans. Yes.
Excellent, excellent. And just a few extra quick ones here. So any updates on IoT and NKN? I mean, for that one, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
It depends on how you define IoT, right? So the NAS device can be considered an IoT device, right? So it's a storage at home, and then how can you remotely access it? If you think about webcam, we have done some experiments there as well. So that's additional, another thing we can call it IoT. So IoT is very wide kind of domain. So our specialty is not IoT per se, but IoT, the connectivity. So if we can provide this peer-to-peer communication for the IoT devices using our data right platforms, we will do it. And quite often we work with a partner because to sell an IoT solution, you have to either kind of do it vertically or through the consumer channels. So right now we don't have that channel, so we will probably work with a partner on the IoT stuff.
I would say the NAS device collaboration would probably be the ideal one, because over the our like trials in the IoT area, we find out that you would probably typically you will need gateway at home that is, first of all, powerful enough to run the NKN client, and the second, it should be it should be more like ideally widely used, so that user won't need to buy additional device, right? The NAS device would be ideal for this case, because NAS device is definitely far more than enough, more than powerful enough to run NKN client or anything, or even NKN node. And also a lot of, it's kind of relatively popular, or probably not everyone has it, but in IoT space, it's kind of a relatively popular. A lot of people have let's say like a NAS device at home that is ready to install or run some programs. And so that's why we're targeting the NAS devices, because we find out it's quite a good fit for us. And once we have, once the collaboration can be done or successfully, we should be able to access a lot of like homes that has NAS devices sitting there. Not just the NAS devices itself, but also the local networks there if they want to provide the service.
Yeah, and also I think earlier we have worked with Mozilla on the Web Things Gateway. So that's another kind of gateway at home that can control almost all the IoT devices as long as they provide a kind of standard interface, right? So we can control the webcam if they can comply with the Web Things and thermometer and all those things. So that's another way we want to work with the standard, and also we work with partners. So we become the connectivity layer, but not necessarily the whole IoT solution.
It just as Bruce said, the IoT have lots of different. So we're more focused on the NAS and web camera, something like that, to provide the solution to such of devices.
Excellent. And so the last two questions here are questions that we get all the time, but it's always great to answer them. The first one's about Binance. It says Binance will support, the question is, will Binance support mainnet? And if yes, what's the estimated time?
So I cannot estimate time because it's not in our control, but we are working with Binance right now. So yes, we are in the process of getting integration with Binance.
And the last one is NKN, Wind Moon.
Tonight?
No, we're not in the moon, we're in the Mars. Elon Musk, yeah.
Yeah. But I want to reiterate, right, because first of all, the crypto market is recovering. Secondly, we are really in a good position to really become the best project or the most important project in the networking domain, right? So for the connectivity side. So I don't see any other projects in as good position as we are, either in technology or adoption or commercial traction. So I think we just need to capitalize on it. And we all know with the COVID-19 and with the kind of more divided world, so true peer-to-peer or borderless communication is essential, right? So I think if you believe in this macro environment, macroeconomic changes, I think you will have confidence will be in Mars or well, sometime.
Excellent, excellent. Well, with that, I'm going to end our discussion here. If I didn't get to your question, I think I got to most of them, or at least tried to answer as much from each individual person that asked questions as possible. But if not, I will collect these questions and put a forum post with some answers on it as well, just to make sure that we address all of your questions and concerns. With that, Bruce, did you have any other comments or to end it today?
Yeah, I think I said enough. I'll leave it to Yebo and Yilun to say the final words.
Yes, please.
Wow. Wow. It's a little bit sudden. I kind of, thanks everyone for your time and questions. And I think I'm not good at saying these words, but we'll definitely try our best to continue pushing forward to building more better product and to get more collaborations and push out the real adoptions and get NKN to become really a popular and top like crypto project, not just crypto project, but just a network project in the space. And yeah, and thanks everyone for your time.
Yebo, do you want to say something?
Yeah, Bob, do you?
Yeah, we just want to enable the NKN to make the connection between people more closely and more, more open and more security in future, especially in current situation, because of the worse, because some other reason, people, even country want to set the world between each other, and we hope that things will change in future, and we hope we have a better tomorrow and the better world in future. That's what I want to say.
Excellent.
Thanks everyone. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks everybody for joining. Again, I'll also be, this video will actually be on YouTube. So for people that missed it, we'll repost, so it'll be on demand so people can watch it later on. And again, with the questions, I'll try to collect as many as possible and answer those for you. So with that, thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.